Okay, so first question is, what do people say when you said you wanted to travel alone? So kind of got the usual stuff like, oh my god, you're so brave. Like I could never go by myself. I could never ever do that. Um, or the other one, it's like, oh, you're so lucky to be able to do that, and to a point we are lucky we can do that, but at the same time we did just save up some money, and like we did just buy a plane ticket. So and then I do had a few things. So I the first time I went traveling was after uni, so I got a lot of like, are you sure you don't want to get a proper job, um or the other one, are you sure you don't want to get a house? The answer to that was no. um so yeah, just sort of like the usual stuff. I did get a couple of are you like kind of doubting, like, are you sure that's safe for girls to go to by themselves? More so for like kind of Latin American countries like Colombia, like that. A lot of people were kind of imagining like Pablo Escobar kind of esque life, which is definitely not. So nobody tried to stop me, but I think people did kind of put doubts in my head a little bit. So second question is, what made you want to travel alone? I kind of always want, like, the first time I went, like inviting people wasn't really a thing. Like I think like a lot of my friends, like after uni, they were settling down, like they did have long-term boyfriends, or they wanted to get a proper job, which, like, fair play to them, they did. So yeah, like a lot of them were settled down anyway, so I kind of knew they weren't gonna come. And like the first place I went was Australia, so that was quite a big, like, that's not just like, I'm gonna go to like Germany, like that's like I'm gonna go as far away as I possibly can. So yeah, I didn't wait for anyone because I always wanted to do it, so it wasn't really a thing for me. And I think it was like a way to sort of challenge myself and have this like kind of brand new life after uni. And kind of like once I got like uni and stuff out the way, like, I did my uni stuff, and then it was my chance to kind of do what I wanted to do, so go traveling. And I think it was quite a selfish decision to go by myself, because like it was kind of like the next chapter in my life almost. Third question is, how did you feel just before you went? I was fucking shitting it, like unbelievable. I wasn't actually scared about the getting there. Like, I don't want to stereotypicalize, but like girls are quite organized. Like I always knew I'd get there just fine. Like that was never a problem. It was more like when I got there, would I meet anyone? Like, what if nobody likes me? What if I didn't like it there? So quite a lot of that, especially to be honest, I'd say on my first trip, but every single time I have gone traveling by myself, like it's always been a thing. Like you don't like lose it or grow out of it the more you travel. Like you still have that thing of like, oh my god, what happens if I don't meet anyone? Which is my biggest thing. Or like you do get nervous, like, so like getting nervous, it's just a thing. Whether I traveled with people or without people, I still get like nervous. Number 4, what were the biggest challenges you had to overcome as a solo female traveler? Look, like there are kind of similar things that like everyone faces. So like the language barriers, kind of like the differences in culture. For me, there's some places that, like, being a female, it hasn't really kind of affected anything. Some countries it has. Like I have found, like, when I went over, I've just come back from South America, and I've struggled a lot with kind of a little bit of the culture there, because they're very like kind of touchy feely, and it's just the way they are. Like they don't see any problem with it. But obviously, like, if you're British, you're very much like like, you don't touch each other, and if you do, you like apologize profusely just for brushing past someone in the street. So that's something that I really struggled with. Kind of, yeah, because I just couldn't, like, it just didn't make me, it just doesn't make me feel comfortable for men to be as overly friendly as they are. So yeah, that was kind of the biggest thing I struggled with. But this is kind of leading on to the next one, but definitely kind of in that case, you've just got to nip it in the bud. Like, you don't need to make it a big deal, but at the same time, like, you do just need to be like, oh, make it a joke, like, oh, English, we don't touch each other, like, this is not a thing, like, and just laugh about it, but make sure they know, like, this is not appropriate for you. Because you don't have to just because that's the way that they are with girls doesn't mean that you need to kind of take that. Like, that's not the day and age we live in. Like, they know, but sometimes you need to remind people. And then some people don't mind, like, you know, touching and, you know, like being overly friendly. But if that is something that that's something that I minded. Beyond that, like, I didn't really have, I've never been that aware of like being a girl. Like most of the time I end up kind of like hanging out with boys, or like going out with like a whole group of boys, and it's never been an issue. It's never been like something that's recognized or anything. So in that respect, I probably think just the culture sometimes it's good to be aware of where you're going. The last question is, what advice would you give to female travelers, which I've sort of touched on in a way, but firstly, just do it. Like, don't let being by yourself or being a female like ever stop you. Don't let anyone else like put doubts in your mind that, like, you know, because you're a girl, like, you can't do it. Like, that's not the day and age we live in anymore. Like, just go off and do it. Like, and you realize, like, once you get there, you are so capable. Like, you kind of think that you can't do it, like, you know, like, you won't meet people. Within a week, you'll have all these friends, you'll have, like, already have all these memories, and you realize, like, you don't really know what you were worried about the whole time. Like, literally, every single time. I'd probably say biggest advice is be aware of, like, first of all, know the language, like, so that way, if anything, you know, you do get into trouble, or even if you don't, like, it's a good way to get into the country, know a bit of the language. Like, I've never been fluent, but I've always known enough, and like the locals appreciate if you can at least say something to them. Half the time, even if you say it wrong, they'll just laugh at you, but they will try and teach you. Like, and also be aware of the culture. Like, you know, you don't want to be on the news for like having a vest top on when like it's very illegal type thing. So just be aware of the culture as well. Probably because you are by yourself, just like, so first of all, my biggest tip is, you know, when people say to you like, oh, if you're like, oh, I'm going traveling, and they're like, oh, I've got this friend in like Brazil, like, be like, instead of just being like, oh, that's nice, you know, like, maybe I'll hit them up, actually be like, can I have their details, can you set me up? Because every single time that I've met up with people, like, it's been amazing. You get a completely different side of like the city or the town, and like, people love being a tourist in their own city. They love it. So I've never had a bad experience from meeting a friend of a friend. Like, it's never awkward. Like, they, like, literally, that is the way to see a city. So definitely hit on the friends of friends. Like, kind of post on Facebook like where you're going, and then somebody will like reply back to you and be like, oh, hey, I actually know somebody who's here. So that's a good way to do it. I'd probably say if you're still really worried about it as well, like, do group tours. So when I went to Australia, I did like a week-long tour when I first arrived, and that was really good because I just met loads and loads of people. It takes the stress a bit away from you as well, because sometimes you stress a bit about like kind of meeting people, and like and also like they even picked me up from the airport and stuff, which was like a big like whew, after 24 hours of flying. Also I did the Inca Trail. That was like a 3-day 4-day kind of trek, and met loads of people there as well. So if you're worried, like, kind of get some group tours booked, because you will meet loads of people. Like, when you're stuck with people, you generally do become pretty good friends. And I'd probably say as well, like, just make sure you research your hostels. So, you know, like, make sure you're kind of going to the bigger hostels, and read the reviews. If they're like, you know, like, party or like you meet people, then yeah, like, kind of go for that. Especially if they've got like group activities, and like, make yourself go on all the group activities. Sometimes if you're by yourself, you do have to just make yourself do stuff. Like, if you see people like kind of meeting each other, just be like, oh, hey, would you mind if I came and joined you? And like, nobody will ever say no, because everyone's in the same boat. Like, everyone's done it. But like, just be confident in yourself. Like, you know, you've come all this way, so is everyone else. You've already got something in common. And then I also say, like, just to like kind of err on like the cautionary sides, and like, this should never stop you, and everyone should be doing this. It's like, just make sure, like, don't put yourself in a situation where you feel uncomfortable. Like, just trust your gut. If your gut's a bit like, I don't think so, just be like, you know what, I don't think so. And just always, like, you know, if you are getting a bit worried, like, ask other people for help, or like, I always have a, like, you know, like, kind of look at a bit of an escape route. So let's say if you're with people that are making you feel a bit uncomfortable, like, know how you can get out of it. So like, even speak to the bar staff and stuff, like, they will always help you out, okay? But yeah, like, my biggest thing is just do it, and like, you will just have an amazing time. Like, you have no idea now, but yeah, just like, take the plunge, book your ticket, just go. Like, don't be concerned about it, just go, and you will have the time of your life. And as soon as you get there, you'll think like, why was I ever worried about this? So yeah, just go for it.